Yeah. So serverless is not going to have any storage. Raju, Susmita, are you with me?
Yes, Purushottam.
Yeah. So serverless SQL pool is not going to have any storage. So then what is the purpose of that? Then why do we use that?
For order querying analytical purpose.
Yeah. So it's explicitly used for curing of and analytics of the data which is stored in your storage. Okay. So that is the
So
purpose of the, yeah.
in
Mhm.
real time, how will it help? Like, we are only querying and reading the data,
Yeah, yeah, we will
but
discuss that. Yes, yes.
no.
I'll show you that. And apart from that, what is the default SQL pool that will be created along with the Synapse Studio?
Built-in serverless SQL.
Built-in serverless SQL pool, it will be created, right? Built-in serverless SQL pool will be created. And can I query the data without the database?
Yes, using open set.
Yeah, so directly using open row set, you can directly query the database. Okay, a data which is stored in the storage location. Okay, now whatever the storage location I showed you, okay, those are the ones which are directly linked into the database, into this SQL, into the storage ADLS storage location account, and from there you just pick up the data. Right now, let me show you something which is very important. So this is Synapse is there. So if you remember that I created a file in this. Okay, I created a file in this which is created as part of this ADLS. This Synapse Studio. Okay, now here I have a file which I've uploaded, the same file which we were talking about earlier. Now here what I can do is I can just right click, select 100 rows, or I can create external table. We'll talk about bulk load. Otherwise I can create a notebook. Okay, I can create a new data flow for this particular file. Okay, now what I can do is select top 100 rows. Okay, open row set is the format, open row set is the syntax through which you can access the data from the storage location, right? So select top, select star, whatever it is from open set as result. So you'll give the format and the data set location. Okay, so this is the container, this is the one, and this is the entire location. Okay, now this is the one. Say suppose I don't have access for this. Okay, I don't have access for this. So what I did is I just took one of the location. Okay, I just took one of the location. Let me do that. Say suppose I'll upload a storage location over here. I'll create a storage location. I'll create a storage account. Why it's not allowing me? Okay, so create storage account. Then I have this one, storage account name, ADLS sample, Synapse workspace test. Okay, then let it be GRS, make read access. No, I don't want this. Next, I'll enable hierarchical namespace, which makes it as ADLS. Okay, and I'll say heart, let it be heart, and public endpoint I will give. I give the public endpoint. Okay, let me create this. So Susmita, Raju, Ram, are you getting the chance to practice some of the ones which we are discussing in the sessions?
Yes, Purushottam, started.
Okay. So this is just created storage account. So I'll create a container over here, which is test container. I'll say public access. Okay. That means I'm allowing that. Okay. Test container is created. Now here what I will do is I will upload the file. Upload a same file. One minute. Yeah, the file is uploaded, right? Now I need to read the data here from that container. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll connect to that external data source. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Purushottam.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I uploaded a file and the same file, and I need to connect to that and start reading the data. See here, what I will do is here. So here connect to external data. Okay, this is Gen 2. Continue. So what I'll do is ADLS sample Synapse workspace. Okay, this is a key have.
No, it's a storage account only, right? How can it be external data?
See, external data source. External means which is external to Synapse.
Okay.
Okay. So what is the name of that which given as it is www test I give. External data source, that's what I'm saying, right? So what is the use of this serverless pool? It connects to external data source. We can connect to external data source and read the data, right? Which is not part of the Synapse workspace. What I mean to say. Okay. So refresh it. This is my mouse. Okay. This is the one which I've created just now. Are you getting this one?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'll do is next top 100 rows. Let's see whether it's coming or not. Okay, it's very simple. Open row set, bulk and format. These are the only two options which you can give and run it. Okay, now see here. What's happening? He's saying that HTTPS New York trip sample parquet cannot be opened because it does not exist or it is used by another process. Okay, when it says that, that means you do not have any permissions for that. Okay, you do not have any permissions to connect to the external workspace and get the data. Okay, so when you trying to connect to that kind of external workspace, okay, so what you need to do is you should have the proper access to you should have proper access to connect and read the data. Okay, so for that what you do is you create a database scoped credentials. Okay, so when you're trying to access the data from external data source, you should create a database scoped credential, okay, by specifying the keys of that workspace. Okay, specifying the keys of that storage account. Okay, so here what I'm trying to do is, see here, I'll go here. Okay, and if you see here in this data storage container and all is showing, there is something called access keys. Okay, there's something called access keys. So through this keys, okay, this key and connection string. So with this key, this is called SAS key. Okay, so with this SAS key, I can access this particular storage account. Okay, now here, so what I can do is I have a this account, okay, this syntax. So what I can do is create database scoped credential. Let me do that. Okay, so this is the okay, so here what I'm trying to do is I am saying that create database scoped credential. This is a syntax. So database scoped credential is exclusively used to connect to external data source and read the data. Getting? So it's used for it's used from the Synapse, through which you can connect to external data source and read the data. Okay. Now this is just a name, and here I am trying to see with identity. What is the identity? So identity is something, sometimes it can be Azure AD, and sometimes it can be shared access signature. It can be anything. Okay, here I'm trying to access through, so we'll try to see this kind of things in exclusive session. So I parked that sessions. Okay, so through which you can access the what is it, shared accounts. Now here I'm using the shared access signature. This is a SAS account, which is very important, through which I can connect to the data. Okay, now here, what is the key here? This is the key which I have. If you see here, the key one is the SAS key, shared access signature. I'll copy this. Now I'm just mentioning to this particular credential saying that please connect to this database using shared access signature, which value is this one. Are you with me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So through which I can access the data. But so whatever the secret key I'm doing here, what is the secret key I'm doing here? For this, you need something called master key. Okay, I'll show you that what is this master key. Where does it gone? Okay, so one database can have one master key. One master key, if it says that is enough actually. So if you see here, it's saying there is already master key is present. Okay, so there is something called master key we need to create whenever you're creating the scoped credential. So what is this master key does is, this master key encrypts the secret and stores it. Okay, so basically it's used to encrypt the secret. The secret is transparent here, right? So we should have an encryption mechanism for this. So that's what this master key does. So what the master key does, it just encrypts whatever the secret keys are available within the database. Okay, and a database can have only one master key. Okay, now here I create a master key. Now this master key encrypts this. Now I'll create this shared, so database scoped credential. What happened? Oh, sorry. I have in the master database. I have. So already master, already it has. And here what I'll do, I'll create this. So it has created the credential access for this particular database. Okay. Now the same thing, open row set and all those things I will use. Just I will say that please use this credential while reading the data. Otherwise all are same. So see here, what I'll do is create external data source. I'll say create. I'll create external data source with this particular credential which I've created. Okay. Now ADLS LAMP test is the one which I have. Test. So what is the credential I need to use? This one. Okay. See here, if you remember that there was something called external data source creation. Okay. So what is the external data source does? It just create a data source pointers to the particular data set, right? A particular storage account. So here I'm creating the same thing which I was doing earlier in the previous session. The only thing that I have added is this one. What I've added? What did I add?
Credential.
I just created,
No.
I just added this credential. Otherwise, these are the same thing. Create external data source with location. That's it. Okay, create external data source and location was the same which I've created. The only thing is extra, I give this one. Okay, this also has been created now. Now data source is created. Once the data source has been created, so you can read the data directly here, right?
Purushottam, what is the location?
What is the?
Location.
Sorry, I did not get you.
Storage location.
Location you mentioned something HTTPS.
Yeah, this one is a simple location through which you are pointing the data, right? So in the previous session we talked about. So external data source creates a pointer to the storage account location. So this is a location. If you see here, this is a location, right? Where is that? This is a location. This is a storage account which you have created, right? Just before just during this session.
Okay.
So for this, I am creating a pointer. Okay, because each and every time I cannot give the entire this one, right? I cannot give entire location and load the data. So that is the reason what I do. I simply give the location of this and create a data source. And each and every time I can use this data source to navigate the data.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Now here, yeah. So here what I will do, where is this select? Okay, select top rail, so it open. So what I will do is here in the bulk, here I'll give something called data source. So if you remember that there was something called data source which we were using. So this is the data source. Okay, and the format is same. And I don't need to give entire thing here. Simply I can give the test container. Okay, now I'm giving what in the, so it's trying to say that instead of the entire location of that, so I'm giving that go to this container, read this data. Okay, use this data source, external data source test. And if you see that external data source reset is pointing to this particular location with this credential. Okay, now let's see if you are able to access the data or not. Okay. So what is the change that I did? Why it was not allowing the data earlier? What is the change I did? I just did a change to read the data through a credential. So I just created a credential, the SAS key for that particular storage account. With that SAS key, I created the credential and I created a data source with that credential. Then I used the data sets over here. Okay. If you remember that this accessing with the data source already we discussed in the last session. Instead of, I was saying that instead of entire location, entire path, I can give the data source. But the only difference here is was this data source which I gave this as a credential embedded to it. So if you see here, a credential is embedded into this. This credential is embedded to it. This credential is nothing but pointing to this particular location with the SAS key. Okay, so you need to remember that whenever you are connecting to external data source into storage account, so you should have a database scoped credential. Okay, so what are the steps of to read the data from one of the external data sources? You need to create a master key which encrypts a secret. Then you should create a database scoped credential. Then you should create external data source which uses the scoped credential. Then you can use that external data source to read the data. Okay, now if you have this external data source, also you can use this in while creating the external table as well, which I was saying earlier. Okay, are you with me? Any confusion?
Like
No.
if I
Yeah.
need to connect for next time different data source, do I need to follow the same or I can use the existing?
In the sense, in the
Uh,
same location, this different what is a different file you're saying?
Yeah.
No, you don't need, right? Because already to this location you have access.
Okay. If I connect to different data source, then I need to follow this.
Yes, yes. You need to follow this. Yes.
And Purushottam, suppose currently we are using the block location,
Mhm.
blob location.
Yeah.
So instead of blob, suppose we are using some different storage things. Okay. So can we use the same credential access there also?
Different in the sense, what are those things?
Suppose currently it is blob. So,
Next time,
maybe it's a SQL storage, something like this
no,
in the
see,
location.
no, for those you don't need, right? Okay, you can connect directly. You can connect with user like user
SQL credential.
SQL credentials and all. So
Uh,
database scope credential exclusively for connecting to external data storage.
okay.
Okay. Now, so the database scope credential is very important. We'll discuss more advantages of it in the coming session. Okay. So this one you got right. How do you act? How
Suppose
to
we
connect?
use file storage. Suppose we are using file storage.
Okay.
So in that case, suppose the location is file storage location. Okay.
Mhm.
So can we use the same credential which you have created the credit for TL access?
See here.
Okay. Only that much external
Yes,
data is
yes, yes,
supported.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. External data source, you will read the blob
Uh-huh.
storage or Gen2 or Data Explorer, Cosmos
Okay.
or with different APIs.
Data lake. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So why do I use data lake? Why do I go for data lake in the data world, in the modern data world?
It supports advanced analytics.
Why? How does it support advanced analytics? What does it make advanced supporting? What is the advantage of that?
Like parallel processing.
No, parallel processing is not happening only with this one. The advantage is it
Hierarchical.
hierarchical workspace. So it stores the data with the hierarchical namespace. So it is it can very well organized with the help of folder structure, folders, containers, and all. Okay, with hierarchical namespace, folder into folder, same like Windows. So it is easy to read the data and write the data. So that's the reason we use ADLS. Okay. Yeah. So this one you got right, scope credentials and all. Okay. And also we were talking about how do you create the external table. So what are the external tables creation? What is the external table? How do you create external table?
Using this external data source.
Yeah, using external data source you create. So first you create external data source, then you create external format. Okay, then so you'll create this one. Then what do you do? Format type equal to, let me copy this spelling. Okay, so you create external data source which points to the location, which points to the location of storage account. Then you'll specify that what is the format of this. So whether it's CSV, then you'll say CSV. If it's Parquet, you'll say Parquet. Then what you'll do, you create the external table directly with the specified space. So whether you use the source, then location, file format, everything you do this here. So here, what is this? Second.
Is it possible to specify header row kind of thing here?
Which one?
And for the Parquet file, is it possible to mention header row like we generally specify for CSV side? First row is header.
No. For CSV, it's required. For Parquet, you don't require that.
Like metadata will be binded in Parquet.
Yes, metadata will be binded. That's for the advantage, right? Metadata will be binded to that. So external data source which I have created, this one is created. Then you should create the table. Okay. Then you should once you do this, what you'll do? You just create the external table. So we can create that external table. Create external table. So these are all the ones you can create. I'm trying to see if it is. What is saying? Let me go here and see. It's not detecting the schema. Maybe the Parquet it's not giving. Otherwise, you just create explicitly with the options, whatever we have. Okay. So same, like I can use that, what do you say? Date ID. Okay. I can use that. Okay. So I'll use all those options. Okay. Then what I will do with option, I'll use show data sources. So what are the options I need to give? One is the data source. Same, like one is the location, then the file format. Okay. So what is the data source here? What is the data source which I have created? External data set. Okay. So what is the location of this? What is the location of this particular one? This is the location. Same, like whatever you are using this open row set, right? The same properties I am giving: data source, location, and the external file format I created. File format equal to this one. That's it. So once you create all this, then you can create a external table of this. So what happens? So instead of open row, so blah blah blah. So it's directly you can do that. Select star from NY taxi. So what happens? Whatever the data which is available in this particular location on this file, it will be retrieved directly like simple table. Does it make sense? Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Are you with me?
But here it's not allowing you to create
What not allowing?
external table.
No, it's allowing. That is the I'm trying to use external option, but it's not detecting this. Maybe it's a Parquet format doesn't support directly. I can create external directly. I can create this here. So you start doing that. So you can, I can do that directly.
Let's say in Parquet file I have 30 columns, but in the external table I have only 10 columns. And can I load like that with 10 columns data?
I think you cannot do that, but let's see that. Why it is giving wrong option here?
Slash is no.
1 minute. Create external table. Okay, the table name. Then here I'm giving with, then the data underscore source. This is correct only. Why it is giving issue? Interesting. We have created the same thing, right? In the earlier session, we did not take anything else. Does it make sense?
Do we need any schema?
Huh? Sorry?
Do we need any schema to create the table?
No, we don't need to create any schema. Saying this, no, it doesn't make any difference. This is just for organizing, right? Why it's giving? Give me a minute. Let me check that. There is no a complicated or complex syntax for that. I'm not sure why it's giving error. Let me check that syntax if I miss anything. There is no difference which I did use here. It's interesting. External table. Then
That
with,
is equal to, it should be a single quote, right?
no, that is fine, but it's throwing the throwing error into syntax only. That's what I was wondering, why it's throwing error. I just before the session I created it, this one also, but location, data source, file format, these are the only properties which you need to give. And the data source here, there no this one, no quotes. Interesting. Let me see that. Okay. But there's nothing, the same syntax I used in the last session. I did not use anything else. File format does not exist. Okay. I created this, right? Did I not create? Create external file format. Create external file format. Okay, file with format type RK. Looks like something is not working over here. I don't know why. All those are giving syntax issues. These also same thing which I did earlier only. Oh, 1 minute. The one I did use in the last session is this one. Oh, okay. Sorry. There's no quotes. I gave the quotes by mistake, but still it's giving issue. Okay, this time I ran it. Okay. So the issue was with the file format, but it is just misleading by throwing that red icon. Oh, sorry. So many rows are there. Okay. Oh, why it's not pointing to that location? External data source location is Spark format is correct. So it's not pointing to that location. Let me see that external data source result set is this one. Test container. What is this container? Yeah, test container. Oh, the column names are invalid. Did I use the wrong column names? Let me see that. Oh, sorry. Date ID. Okay. Spelling, I did this mistake again. Sudhakar, are you getting?
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's come. Okay.
So whatever one file you are uploaded on the blob storage, and that file you are the data is loaded into the external
Yeah,
table.
the data is not loaded. The table is pointed to that location. So what happening whenever I read from the table internally goes to that particular location, picks the data and show it as a table data. So it's a logical table.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm,
it's a logical table. So if you see here, go to the data, go to the workspace. Now data analytics, the table. Here what happens? External table will be displayed over here. See here, the external table which I created, NY taxi.
Mm.
Okay, and external source. Do you see any tables here? Do you see any table called something called table? No, right? Only external table only you'll see, because it is a serverless SQL pool, right? It is a serverless SQL pool. So you cannot have any data. You cannot have any table which has the data, because it's serverless. It's only used for reading the data. Okay. So I just created a table and which points to the particular location and get the data. Are you with me?
Yes, and suppose we insert some of the record here test.ny taxi, then that will be reflected to the that parquet file,
Where you want to insert the data?
like our insert statement in table.
Yes, you can insert the data, you can update the data. Yes, you can do that.
Suppose I insert some of the record in test.ny taxi.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Suppose 10 records are there, I have added another 5. So
Yes.
that 5 record will be
Yes,
directly reflected to the parquet file.
Yes. It will be done. You just take the example of a simple CSV file for 5 records. So every one of you can try. So you just take a record of 10 files, CSV files. Okay. So you read the data with open row set. Then you create external data source, external file format, read the data and try to insert the records and read the data. Then it will be reflected. Okay.
Means all DML operation is we can perform as an external table.
Yes,
and that will be directly reflected to the
storage
where we are
location.
pointing that external storage.
Yes, you are right.
Okay, fine.
Okay. So whatever the operations you perform, that will be reflected in the storage location. Okay. Yeah. So what are the steps to create the external table? You need to create external data source. You need to create external file format. Then you need to create the external table, and in external table, whatever the file format and the data source that you used created earlier, that will be mentioned in the properties. That's it, nothing else. Okay. And how do you connect to external data source which is not part of a Synapse workspace? You need to create a master key within the database if it's not existing. Then you need to create database scoped credential, okay, with the secret key of SAS. Then you create external data source using that credential. Then you can use directly that external data source either in the open reset or while creating the external table. Then directly you can query the data. Does it make sense? Any confusion? Any doubts? So these are very important regarding the exam as well. So in the exam, they would be asking, how do you connect external data source? What are the steps of doing a external table? And even of course, in the interview also, it's very, very important. What are the steps to create external table, and whether external table is logical or physical? So how does it make sense? If I insert some data in the external table, does it going to reflect in the actual file or not? These are all different scenarios that you need to practice and understand. Any doubts? So for today, what you are going to do is you are going to create a CSV file or use existing CSV file which has only limited records like 10 to 100. Then try to read the data, try to insert the data. You can create your own simple CSV file and do that. Okay.
So like can give this in notepad now?
Yes, yeah. I'll put it in the this one assignment window. You're asking that list of steps, right? Hey Sudhakar, did I lose you?
Sorry, Purushottam, tell me.
No, you're asking something.
No, I'm not.
Who, Rajiv was asking? Ram?
Yes, but
Yeah.
used in practice purpose. No, this steps.
Yeah. I will do that. Yes. I will do that. And one more thing I wanted to show. Yeah, that's about the serverless SQL pool.
So Pushottam, I have
Yeah.
another one question.
Mm-hmm.
So suppose here the file is there.
Mm-hmm.
So that is ParQ file, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the separator for column separator here? Means as a delimiter.
No,
Like
Parquet file is it's not
not
there
a
won't be any
delimiter.
delimiter or something. It has its whole internal schema structure through which you can it stores the data. There's nothing called a row separator, column separator. Sorry, column separator.
So that will be implemented as a JSON format.
Which one? JSON? No. It has its own format called Parquet format, right? So Parquet format, it's format which has the compressor logic use the column store format, which I was showing earlier. So it use column store, it has those compression logic. There is not related to any another structure JSON or something. JSON is different. It is a simple. It's a different file.
Okay.
Okay, Sudhakar, any doubts in the serverless SQL pool?
No.
Now we spoke about MPP architecture in the last session, if you remember that, right? So what is that MPP? Massive parallel processing, which is basically used in the Azure data warehouse, okay, through which you can distribute the query processing or data processing to the compute nodes and makes the execution faster. So how many compute nodes will be existing from the control node in the Azure data warehouse? How many? How much count I was showing in the last session?
Compute nodes are 60 days.
60. Okay, it divides the entire thing into 60 and distributes it to 60 nodes and get the data done, get the processing done. Okay, so the control node takes the query, okay, and it assesses it. Then it passes to the load into all the compute nodes equally. Okay, then where the data will be there, data will be separated from this compute and control node. The data will be there in the Azure storage. Okay, the data will be there in the Azure storage. So it picks the data from the Azure storage, the compute nodes, and process it. Okay, and with the data movement service, if it says suppose there is something aggregation should be there, which needs to get the data from multiple compute nodes. Then the compute nodes, the data passes from one compute node to another compute node using data movement service, and in process it by taking the data in the Azure storage, then gives the result back to control node, which displays the actual data, the final result. Okay, so there are 3 steps are there: control node, compute node, Azure data storage. Three layer structure will be there. So which runs entire MPP architecture.
It's like actual complete transformation will happen in compute node.
Sorry, can you come again?
Complete transformation occurs in compute node.
Yes. All the
yeah.
processing, whether it's a select or transformation or anything, whatever the query is taking on the data, it's performing on the data, whether it's reading or writing, everything will be done on the compute node.
No, control node will be doing the select, right?
No, control node takes the query, it assesses it, and it distributes the load to the compute nodes.
Okay.
Okay, control, the name itself says that it's control the nodes. That's it. It doesn't do anything. It just assesses it, analyzes it, and distributes this to this compute nodes. Then compute nodes takes the data, perform its their own activity, and passes the result to the control node. That's it. Okay. Did I lost the connection? Right, and this MPP architecture is very common to all the architectures. Okay, all the technology, irrespective of the whether Azure SQL or Databricks, or if you are using the same MPP architecture in the Snowflake, the MPP will be same. All MPPs will have same thing, control node and compute node and storage. Here we are saying Azure storage, there will be some other storage location, some other storage layer. Okay, but the architecture will be same.
Spark also similar, right? Master slave.
Yes, yes. In the Spark also, it use MPP architecture only with the control node and compute node. Okay. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Now in here we are talking about the control node, compute node and all. Okay. So whenever the data is being stored, okay, whenever the data is being retrieved, how does it happens? Okay. How does the data load or data distribution happens among the compute node from the control node? Okay. How the data distribution happens. Okay. So there are three types of distribution methods we have. Okay. One is hash, one is round robin, one is replicated. Okay. This is very, very important. Okay. What is the distribution method? Is a distribution is a basic unit of storage and processing for parallel queries that runs or distributed data. When Synapse SQL runs a query, the work is divided into 60 smaller queries that runs in parallel. So what is the distribution? A single unit, okay, a single unit of data, a single unit of processing which happens on a compute node. This is a distribution. So this is one distribution, this is one distribution, this is one distribution. Okay, then how does this control node distributes the distributes the load all these compute nodes? We have three types. One is hash, round robin and replicated. Okay, let us see round robin. So round robin is what? Round robin table is the simplest table to create and delivers fast performance when used as a staging table for loads. So what happens round robins? So first what it does, it say suppose there are the 10 records there. Okay, 10 records. So first record it goes here, compute node 1. Second record goes to compute node 2. Third record is going to compute node 3. Fourth record will go to compute node 4. So round robin, it just randomly loads the data, distributes the records, distribute the load to each and every compute node. Okay, simplest data distributes evenly across the nodes. What is the advantage of this? Whatever the records are there, those will be distributed evenly. Okay, all table rows are computed to each compute node. It will be. Okay, so what is the easy to place? Okay, need more data movement while queries, so less performance. But the disadvantage is that whenever you are reading the data, okay, as the data is spread across without any logic to all the compute nodes, okay, data movement takes place a lot from node to node. So that is the reason it's only used for staging table or temp table. So where data is just loaded there and picked up for further processing. Okay, in the stage there will be staging mechanism, right? Say suppose you are storing the data, so first you store the data in the staging table, then from the staging table you pick the data and you move it to the further processing. Okay, so for such kind of staging tables, temporary tables only, you will suggest the round robin data, round robin distribution mechanism. Okay, and replicated. So replicated, the name itself says that replicated table, a cache is a full copy of the table on each compute node. What happens? A cache will be copied on all the nodes. Okay, say suppose you have some file X, so file X cache will be placed over here, placed over here, placed over here. So what happens when the cache is placed on each and every node? What happens? The data retrieval will be very fast, but as it's caching on each node, so it's not ideal for the big table. Okay, only small dimension tables will be ideal and should not be more transactions. What happens when you perform more transaction, then all the caches will be should be readjusted again. Okay, it occupy again more space. So whenever you have small tables and you want quick result, okay, then ideally you should go for the replicated. Okay, so small tables with less than 2 GB of the data, then only you'll go for the replicated table. Okay, and when you have data with has staging table which you are using, then you'll go for the round robin. So round robin will load the data evenly. Replicated will cache the data on each and every node. Are you with me? Any confusion? So when the control node distributes the load and the data to the this data nodes, okay, this all the compute nodes, how does this distribution happens? For that we have three methods. Okay, hash, round robin, replicated. Okay, so round robin gets the data randomly and loads, and each and every node distributes to each and every node in a sequential format. Okay, what happens in that case? All the load will be evenly distributed. And replicated, what happens? As name itself specifies, it replicates the table with the with caching the data on each and every table. Okay, and hash. So what happens? Hash. So hash is very important. So hash, whatever. So in the hash, what you do is you specify a column, okay, based on which the node, the data will be distributed to all the compute nodes. Okay, say suppose you have something called city. Okay, so on the city you want to compute the you want to distribute the data. So what happens? You'll take the column city column. So hash, there will be a hash function which gets the data of the city column. It applies the hash function on the city column. Then it gets that loads the data into all cities. Say suppose Bombay is there, then the Bombay will be loaded on compute node. Then the next row is coming as Bombay, then it will be pulled over into this node. Next row is coming to Delhi, then it goes to Delhi compute node. Okay, next is Kolkata is coming, then Kolkata is coming. Next Hyderabad, Hyderabad will be loaded over here. Then next is coming to Delhi, then it goes again, load the data into the Delhi. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hash distribute table can deliver highest performance and for joins and aggregations, because all the related data of a specific value will be loaded into particular node. It will be very easy to pick the data. Okay, each row belongs to one distribution, as I was saying, because based on the key column value, whatever you choose, that will be loaded into particular distribution. So each row will be one distribution. Okay, and the number of tables row per distribution varies as shown by the different size of the tables. So how many rows will be there in all the distribution depends upon the size of the table and the column values. Okay, ideal for fact and large dimension table. So obviously, so whenever we have the data fact table, usually fact will have more number of rows, right? Big table, it will be fact. Otherwise we have a large dimension table, then you will go for the compute hash distribution mechanism. Okay, we'll try to create the tables based on these three different these three different mechanisms and see how does it work. Okay, but you should know these are the three steps, three distribution methods which we have. Okay, and in the exam point of view, they can ask that so we have a data warehouse architecture where I have a staging table and some of the fact tables and dimension tables, and the dimension tables, some are small, XYZ is small, and ABC is large. Then choose the distribution mechanism that you will choose for each and every table. Okay, then small dimension, what I will go for? Small dimension, what I will go for? I will go for the replicated. And for the fact and large dimension tables, I will go for the fact and large dimension, I'll go for the hash. And for the staging table, I will go for the round robin. Okay, these are the repeated questions, and almost in all like in every exam of this 2 or 3, this question will being asked. Is very important, even from the interview perspective, even from your real-time perspective, it's very important to know the distribution methods. Any confusion? Am I going fast? Feel free to push back. Everyone got it? No doubts? think Sudhakar got dropped. Oh, that's fine. Raju, Sushmita, any doubts?
No, no.
Okay. So that's what we have the distribution methods. Then tomorrow we'll go for the different indexes which we have in the Synapse. Okay. Then we will create the tables with the help of this clustered index, whatever you have with the distribution method. So when you're creating the table, how the distribution method will be used, how the index will be used. So all those things will use, and we'll create some tables in the dedicated server pool, and we'll try to read the data and write the data by taking some of the examples. All right. Yeah. Okay, then thanks everyone. And tomorrow we will discuss again rediscuss distribution methods and indexes. We'll create the tables with these two options, and we'll try to load the data into this. And we also will see what are the loading mechanisms into dedicated SQL pools. We have 3 types, and we'll see how do we load the data into the tables of the dedicated SQL pool. Okay. Yeah. Okay then. Thanks everyone. We'll catch up tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.